Something really fundamental is changing in how the world sees your organization. And it's not loud. There was no big announcement. But there's this audit happening, and it's being conducted by AI. And whether you're ready for it or not, well, it's already started.
For me, the moment this all clicked, the moment I realized this wasn't just another tech trend, it all came from a pretty specific place, a hotel swim-up bar.
So Jay Chahan from Google says this, almost as an aside at an event. He says Google's AI can now look at a hotel photo and see a swim-up bar, even if the words swim-up bar are nowhere in the text. No keywords needed. The AI just sees it. And that one simple fact basically unravels 20 years of how we've thought about being seen online.
And that creates this huge split, right? For 2 decades, the game was pretty simple. You describe yourself with the right words, you win the keyword game. But that game is ending. We're moving from a world where we get to describe ourselves to a world where AI simply observes our reality, what we say versus what it sees.
Now, this is the part I think most people get wrong. They see this and think, okay, a new marketing tactic, a new way to play this same old game. But it's not. It's a massive structural change in how trust and relevance even get decided.
And look, you can already see this happening. Those generic exploratory searches, all-inclusive holiday, they're going down. But specific searches for, say, a hotel's name, those are going up. So the big question is, where did all that exploring go?
It went here, into what Google calls the messy middle. That whole process of just figuring out what you want, comparing stuff, it's moving from a search bar into conversations with AI. People just describe what they're looking for, and the AI serves up options. So by the time they actually search for you, they pretty much already know they want you.
Okay, so this leads to a pretty uncomfortable truth about all this. If an AI can see a swim-up bar, it can see everything else too. This isn't just about getting discovered anymore. It's about a complete and frankly unavoidable audit of your entire organization.
Just think about it. What does an AI conclude from the photos on your About Us page? Does it actually see the dynamic collaborative culture you talk about? Or does it see something else, something you might not want it to see?
And what about your product? Does the packaging and the photos look cheap? Does the lighting look professional? The AI isn't reading your description of premium quality. It's looking at the pixels, at the visual evidence, and it's making its own call.
And this is the point, really. Every photo, every customer review, every price you set, it's all becoming machine-readable evidence. Your entire operation is basically on display, and it's being analyzed constantly.
So what we have here is kind of an organizational mirror. And what it means is you can't just launch a marketing campaign to fix a real problem anymore. You can't just paper over the cracks in your operations with better keywords. The AI, it can see the cracks. This gap between what you claim and what the evidence actually shows, that's a huge problem. You say, we're innovative, but the AI sees generic stock photos and customer reviews complaining about your ancient, clunky systems. That gap is now totally visible and it just kills your credibility. And let's be super clear, this is not about AI theater. This problem is not fixed by launching yet another chatbot that just scrapes your FAQ page. That's just putting a fancy costume on the same old model. This is about changing the underlying reality that the AI can actually see. So here's the line to remember. The reviews your customers write are no longer just reviews. They are training data. They are actively teaching AI systems what your organization is really like, no matter what your marketing department says you're like. Which brings us to this huge myth about AI adoption. Everybody talks about it in terms of productivity, right? Efficiency. But that framing completely misses the point. The real shift here isn't about doing things faster. It's about who is responsible for all this evidence. I mean, who owns this stuff now? Who's responsible for the sentiment in your customer reviews? Is that marketing's job or is it customer service? And who owns the message your team photos are sending about your culture? Is that HR? The CEO? The old neat lines of authority? They're just blurring away because the evidence is coming from everywhere. So if you want to move past all the tactical noise and really think about this strategically, there is one and only one question you need to be asking inside your organization right now. Here it is. If an AI system could see everything, your photos, your reviews, your internal docs, your pricing strategy, all of it, what would it conclude about you? Not what you want it to conclude. What would the cold hard evidence actually prove? Answering that question honestly, that tells you where the real work needs to be. Because in the end, it all comes down to this. Strategy used to be the thing you planned to do in a PowerPoint deck.
Now your strategy is simply the sum of what you can prove.